to look forward to this evening.
There certainly is, Ned. There's lots to look forward to, and when you take a look down at the start list for both races, it's stacked with talent, and it's going to be a hotly contested national title. It always is, and the one thing with a circuit race is there are so many riders who are in such good form. I'd rather be biking. Yeah, wouldn't we all, actually?
Everyone's enjoying the cracking summer weather that we're having. Some people enjoying it a little bit more than others. These last few days have been blisteringly hot. The time trial that was underway yesterday, the riders already handing out and taking 4 different national titles in the under-23 for the women and the under-23 for the men. First up, though, it was the under-23 women, and the young Yorkshire woman, Erin Boothman, just 19 years of age, took that title by a distance of 2 minutes, a crushing display. In the elite women, well, another fantastic performance by Zoe Backstead. Back-to-back victories in the elite women for Backstead, fresh from her Giro stage win, and an all-Welsh podium as well, including Anna Morris and her older sister Eleanor Backstead. Then it was the turn of the under-23 men, also over the 25.6 kilometre distance. Ben Wiggins, at the 3rd time of asking, finally taking victory in, of course, his famous father's chosen specialised subject. So first national under-23 title for Ben Wiggins. Then it was a turn over 38.4 kilometres of the elite men. And Soudal Quickstep's Ethan Hayter, in the absence, it must be said, of Josh Tarling, powered to victory for the 4th time in his career. He now moves ahead of Bradley Wiggins, but Stuart Dangerfield and Alex Dowsett, those 2 riders, still have the lead in terms of the overall number of titles over Ethan Hayter. 4 in his career, though, for Ethan Hayter, including back-to-back titles in 25 and 26. So some good established names there, Hannah, in the time trial discipline, and some plenty exciting names for the future, including Ben Wiggins and especially, I think, Erin Boothman.
Superb. And Erin Boothman is a brilliant talent. She's only a young rider. She's up and coming, but already showing her hand and her capabilities. I have to say, just seeing the replay there of Ben Wiggins, there was a certain awe about him. It was... He desperately wanted that title, and as you just said there, Ned, winning it at the 3rd time of asking, having been on the podium previously, you know how much it means to him to win that title.
Still amazingly just 21 years of age, Ben Wiggins. But let's concentrate on the women now, because the first race is the women's elite, and let's just remind ourselves of what happened in the Women's Criterium Championships last year over the exact same course.
Isabel Sharp takes it gingerly into this first of 2 left-hand bends, into the final left-hand bend, onto the straight here, onto the seafront, and it's Isabel Sharp who takes a look round over her right-hand shoulder. Richardson sits poised, waiting and ready in 2nd position, and Roberts right now. Well, who's going to pounce first? Who's going to open up the gas, and who's going to open up the sprint?
Here we go. They're winding things up, just a couple of 100 metres now to go, and it is the woman from Little Trent, Izzy Sharp, winding things up, but coming around it is Kate Richardson. Jess Roberts, it looks like she's maybe out of it here. It's going to be so close to the line. Is it going to be Roberts? Is it going to be Sharp? And Richardson with a lunge. It looks like it is indeed Richardson that takes it. That was oh so close. What a sprint. Sporting handshakes all around. Difficult to split the 2. Let's have a look at that again in slow motion. A late lunge, a late turn of speed by the hamstring rider, and it looks as if she has got it. She will be crowned the national circuit race champion, and a strong battle for the minor placings there, but all the medals are gone, and we have a new circuit race champion for 2025, and there it is. It has been confirmed. It is indeed Katie Richardson who takes the title from Izzy Sharp.
What a victory, Hannah. You were there to witness that last year. It doesn't get much closer than that, does it?
It doesn't. Phenomenal performance from Kate Richardson, but what a sprint from Izzy Sharp. She'd opened things up, and she in my opinion, remembering and reflecting from last year, she'd done everything perfectly. She hugged the right-hand side of the road. That was the shortest line, and ultimately it came down to that throw. She was just starting to tie up as Kate Richardson had the ability to lunge for the line, but what a close victory. It was brilliant, but of course very different weather conditions.
Yeah, very, very different weather conditions. Abnormally hot weather here at the moment, and spectators just cooling off. Let's have a look though at this 1.6 kilometre circuit.
no question at all. We will have red hot action.
Well, it starts and finishes along Victoria Terrace, right on the seafront by those swimmers just cooling down, then eventually turning left into Pier Street. On they go to Portland Street and eventually Queen's Road. Not much elevation gain, but a series of, well, traditional British 90-degree right-hand turns mean that it's not overly technical, but it is definitely not without its technicalities, Hannah. A good racing circuit.
Yeah, brilliant one. A brilliant racing circuit. As you can see, 1.6 kilometres long, an anti-clockwise circuit. It's one of those circuits where there are few opportunities for any respite or recovery, and you have to really be mindful of how you use your energy early on. You don't want to go, and it's in course where it's easy to spend your pennies too early, and you'll just never come back for the back end. 50 minutes plus 5 laps, this race.
61 riders scheduled to take the start. Not sure yet whether there are any non-starters. We'll try and get that information to you. A number of former British champions as well on the start line. The ever combative Joe Tindley among them. And right on the start line, I caught a glimpse of last year's runner-up, Izzy Sharp, who was racing in the Lidl Trek development team colours last year, but she's now in the same team, the Hansling Alba development road team, as last year's winner, the defending champion Kate Richardson. In fact, the Hansling Alba team, you'll get very used to those pink and blue jerseys, because the Scottish team fields a massive total of 10 riders, which, depending on how their tactics are going to play out, Hannah, does give them a huge advantage.
Massive advantage. Essentially this title is theirs to lose because they've got such strength and depth. When you take a look down at the start list, Kate Richardson, Madeline Cooper, Maddie Leach, who's been on the podium previously, Maury Porton, Arabella Blackburn, Anna Flynn, Grace Lister, watch out for her, she's a great track rider too. Izzy Sharp, of course, there she is, just going out of shot there. Podium second place last year. Ariana Holland, as well as Beth Morrow, brilliant sprinter.
Megan Barker in the, what would you call that colour? Mushroom colour of the Rafa Cycling Club?
Silver, grey?
Yeah, possibly more attractive from a marketing perspective than mushroom. But
watch out for this rider here. This is Peggy Knox. She's only 17 years of age, but she is such a brilliant talent. The thing is, she's on her own. You know, she's up against the teams that have the strength and depth and the numbers to play with, but watch out for her. She's had a great season already.
Well, we are a little while from getting underway. When we do, there will be 50 minutes of racing, and then once 50 minutes have been completed, as Hannah was explaining, there'll be 5 more laps of this 1.6 kilometre circuit. Anything can happen really on this circuit, because it doesn't feature a climb. There's no real moment where there's an obvious point where you can get away. It's technical all the way around, isn't it? So it could be that we'll have a bunch of sprints, but on the other hand, as we saw last year, the podium effectively got away, didn't it? And they couldn't be caught.
It did, and they couldn't be caught, and it came down to 3 riders who, you know, they knew they had the podium placing sewn up. It's one of those courses where you constantly have to think about your positioning. Where are you? You don't want to be too far back, but you also don't want to keep making these big accelerations out of the corners. 7 corners in total on this lap. It's quite a wearing circuit as well. We'll have a sighting lap. Jo Tinley's in good form. She's one of the elder riders within this bunch. You just saw her there in that red jersey, former national champion in this discipline, but she's one of the most experienced in the British scene, to be honest. And already we saw a couple of weeks ago at the London Nocturne how good she was. She sadly got caught up behind a crash, and she was chasing back on tirelessly, but never quite managed to get back to the front in the end. But she's one of those riders who, watch out for her. She knows exactly where she needs to be. She knows how to manage her energy resources. She knows which riders to follow. She's also one of those who isn't afraid to try something either.
Megan Barker, a couple of years have passed since her victory in this discipline in 2023, when she beat Maddie Leach to the bronze medal and Kat Ferguson to silver. Watch out as well for the, you talk about riders who have no teammates with them. There is a rider from the UAE team to look out for as well. in Eilidh Shaw, and a couple of years ago she was a silver medalist in the Crit Champs as well.
And Isabel Darville too, she's part of the O'Shea development team. She's got a full black jersey on. She's just to the left of where the camera operator and the moto pilot is.
Great close-up images of all these riders. Of course, on the formation lap, the motorbike is guiding them. They can't pass the motorbike. There's the rider you were just talking about.
Yeah, bronze medalist in the past, so watch out for Darville. She's one of those riders that's chipped away year after year, year after year. She's got a brilliant sprint on her, great bike handler too. Really good technically.
Going back to Jo Tindley that you were talking about, Hannah, it's shown me a rider who is more passionate about her sport than Jo Tindley. She is, I mean, she just lives and breathes. There she is, Jo, with those red, white, and blue stripes on her cuff to denote a former national champion. She just loves this sport, doesn't she? She
does, and she's one of those who she knows. She's been around for so long. She loves it. She is so passionate about it. She's seen the sport evolve, and
yeah,
she's so proud to see where it is now. But to be honest, I think year after year she gets better and better, and the sport grows as well. It also gets more difficult. Everybody is physically better, innovation grows in terms of equipment, and so things get faster,
yeah.
But she's always there.
All right then, over the start-finish line for the this time for real, and the race is about to begin. And Tindley, Barker, along with the lone rider from Movistar, Kenneth Lloyd, the Welsh rider, among the first riders to start forcing the pace right at the front. There she is, Kenneth Lloyd in the white kit with the blue M on it from Movistar. Of course, we've already had a all-Welsh podium here in Aberystwyth, or rather in Lampeter, where the individual time trial was yesterday, with Zoe Backstead and Anna Morris and Eleanor Backstead filling the top 3 places for Wales. That is a very narrow section, isn't it? Straight off the bat.
Very, very
really
narrow.
Strings it out.
And this is why I was saying before, the positioning on this kind of circuit is so critical, because once you make that left-hand turn and then now down onto Portland Street, it still is narrow. Then you get onto the different road surface here. You're onto the town paving stones. As we saw a year ago, it was slick, there was rainfall, very, very different conditions, but it's so hot and humid out there. That also is on the other extreme of things in terms of the weather, and for some riders they will really pay a price to be racing in weather like this, because they simply overheat. They're not able to maintain the core body temperature and keep themselves cool, which has a huge impact on their performance. You can already start to see the Hansling Alba Development Road team in the pink and blue jersey start to move themselves up towards the front, with a number of riders now just wanted to try and take control.
And even on this first opening lap, you can see the pressure being exerted behind. No splits in the bunch yet, and there may not be for some time, but already you can see if you like, the senior riders just forcing the pace a little bit, or keeping the pace high at the front, and it's having an effect out of all these corners, having to accelerate out of these corners. You can read the body language of the riders a little bit further towards the back, how difficult it is already, even on this first lap.
It's easier said than done, but I think in this situation, if you are at the back and you're a little bit out of position, is don't panic and don't try and make silly moves or silly efforts that you're ultimately going to pay the price for later on. The thing is, with this circuit, the best place to try and move up is this home straight back along the seafront here on Victoria Terrace. There's already a number of riders. Look at the body language of a couple of the riders at the back here, where they're just getting washed away, not able to stay in the wheels. Already after lap 1, 3 riders distanced here, 1 more coming across the line now. It's just such a difficult, hot pace.
And that's without any real attacks being launched, isn't it? It's just concerted pace setting by at the moment Lloyd, but swarming all over the front, those pink and sapphire blue jerseys from the Scottish team, Hansling Alba Development Road team, with their 10 riders riding potentially in the interest of the defending champion to make it 2 out of 2, Kate Richardson. Now this is a classic British criterium course, isn't it? And great to see that the criterium scene in the UK, which is, you know, you'd have to say almost as healthy as anything that we've got in terms of road racing. The criterium scene is, the number of races is swollen now by the Nocturne being reintroduced in London, as we have our first attack, and it's one of the Hansling Alba riders. Just got a bit of a gap.
I wonder if Karis Lloyd of Movistar in that white jersey just had a bit of a mechanical issue there. She tried to make the acceleration, she looked down, something wasn't quite right, whether she dropped a chain, skipped a gear, I'm not quite sure, but she's quickly onto this move here from Hansling Alba Development Road Team. See how quick she is to make that acceleration out of the saddle, quickly nullify a move.
It was a strange one, wasn't it? I'm not even sure it was really an attack, was it? It's almost like she just found herself off the front a little bit. Feels to me like at the moment Hansling Alba just want to keep this race hard, keep the pressure on at the front. As Robin Clay makes a move in the dark blue kit of Picnic Postanel. We are already beginning to see those riders who we'd expect to feature in the final shake-up, the top 10, filling the podium places and the eventual winner. We're starting to see those riders more and more, even now, towards the front, and it almost feels like a selection of sorts is being formed over these opening few laps. Das Hutchinson team with a couple of riders towards the front, Josie Knight and Sophie Lewis.
Jess Roberts on the far right-hand side in the black jersey. She's a private member. She's not attached to any team or club. She's one to watch out for, because if you remember when she was 18, 19, 20 years of age, coming through the ranks, racing in races like the Tour Series, for example, she, despite her young age, she was able to ride away from the bunch. She's so smooth. She's got a brilliant pedaling style. She's very fluid and so efficient.
What are the rules regarding a private member? Can they, obviously, I mean, what can they do in terms of perhaps they have their own personal sponsors that they're allowed to take them to the race?
For private members, and it's always been the case that you would have to wear a plain
unidentified kit.
Unidentified kit. You were sort of unattached to a club or any team, and you can see with Jess Roberts, likewise we saw with Isabel Darville, who I mentioned earlier on, you know, both riders in a darker kit, full black. And I think it also works well for Jess Roberts. She's trying to combine the odd criterium here or there, a couple of road races where it really favours her track racing ambitions, where she can really have a huge focus on the track as she builds towards the LA Olympic Games.
Some riders down the years have done that balance really spectacularly well. When you think about the great Ed Clancy, for example, in the men's peloton, down the years, I think both the Barker sisters have really balanced their road and their track programs very nicely. Others have struggled to sort of get the best out of the road scene, haven't they? When you think of Stephen Burke springs to mind as well, who's such a talented and successful rider on the track. And I think now that he's retired, we can probably say absolutely detested racing on the road, didn't he? Just hated everything about it, despite all his talent.
Yeah, definitely.
But it takes a special skill set, doesn't it, to be able successfully to combine the two?
Yeah, absolutely, it does. And I do think if you're able to make it work and combine it well, then I think each discipline go hand in hand. And I think it's also good when you have these big, long, sustained periods of time where you don't have any track racing, for example. This summer period where you've got the National Circuit Series, you've got the Criterium Championships like tonight, you've got London Nocturne, you've got other races on the calendar. There was the Cologne Grand Prix last week. It's a really good opportunity to get your teeth stuck into some circuit racing.
Let's not forget Otley as well.
Otley, of course, next week. Yeah.
With a new race director, Lizzie Dignan has been freighted in. It's her debut as a race director. So she's quite nervous about it, but I'm sure it'll go well. It's always such a good race, isn't it, the Otley Grand Prix?
It's quite amazing, really. So from one former world champion for Great Britain being the director of the race in Lizzie Dignan, formerly it was Mandy Jones.
Yep.
Quite special. And at one point for a long while, actually, was Giles Pidcock, the father of Tom and Joe.
Well, whisper it quietly, but Yorkshire down the years has produced some riders, hasn't it? It really has.
It has.
as indeed has Wales. Just counting those Hansling Alba riders there, 3, 4, 5 in the top 7, maybe more. They are, I mean, the pressure will be on them, won't it? As you, I think, said right at the beginning of the race or before it got started. They'll be expected to deliver the win here. Well, will be expecting within themselves. I think the pressure will come from inside.
But when you take a look down at the roster of riders, you've got Kate Richardson, who's the defending champion of this title, who's in sublime form. She's flying. But then when you've got riders to back you up who have also been on the podium, Maddie Leach, for example, another rider who's an excellent track rider. Then you go a little bit further, Beth Morrow, another brilliant rider. And these riders, you know, they've come into this point in the season where they've already had a good amount of racing under their belt. They've had that consistency. There's a number of riders, as I said before, if you're good on the track and you can make it work and it goes hand in hand, these intense criteriums are perfect for riders who are doing the track where you've got those kind of efforts. Sharon Bottley just going through there, number 14 from Brother UK on form. She's been around for a long, long while. Another rider who is so experienced.
Well, talking about Otley, here's a rider who was born in Otley. It is Robin Clay, 22 years of age, riding on the front for a Picnic Postanel. Whose father, of course, Johnny Clay, still very much associated within the British cycling system. Has been for most of his career, actually, high up within British cycling. And he's a former national champion in the criterium category.
He is. He won the final criterium national title before it turned from a professional title into the senior title, as it is now known. He won it back in 1995. Bronze medal the following year in 96.
And his daughter replicate the feats of her old man. She's certainly riding right up with the favourites at the moment. Signed a 2-year deal, formerly of the Das Hutchinson team, but has moved to the women's World Tour, Picnic Postanel. And it's clearly going well. 11th place for Robin Clay already in the individual time trial. And that was only yesterday.
And she's coming off the back of a very busy summer period already. She raced in the Giro d'Italia women, so for her, she's come out of that, and you know, let's see how she is. Clearly, as you just said, with that 11th place in the individual time trial, clearly she's going well. But for some riders, after such a hard Grand Tour, they could come out, they could be tired. But I think for Robin Clay, she's been able to manage it pretty well. She not long went to Copenhagen for the Copenhagen Sprint. So very often Robin Clay is one of those riders who is in service or support of other riders within her World Tour team.
Yeah, definitely on domestic duty so far in her Picnic Postanel life. Still waiting for the first big attack, aren't we? The first big move to be launched. But picking your opportunity on this course, it's hard to figure out where to do it, isn't it?
It's very hard. As I said before, it's one of those circuits where you don't have a drag. There is very, very, very little elevation, absolute minimal. So there's no place to really put the power down to try and split things in that sense. There's also very little recovery, so I think for a lot of riders, they're really biding their time. You factor in the heat, which is a huge factor on an evening like this. Circuit racing is always hot anyway. You start to see a couple of riders wanting to try and get themselves into a good position before making that left-hand turn into Piers Street.
Yeah, it looked like one of the Hansling Alba riders was just launching maybe the first of the big attacks. We'll have to see. Definitely trying to get away this time, as you can see by this rider looking round to see whether she's got a gap, and the answer, quite emphatically, is no, not yet. So if that was the first attempt from Hansling Alba, really to get a move up the road, it didn't work. Izzy Sharp there, last year's runner-up, just taking that corner and around about 11th place. these little paving stones here, absolutely no problem for the riders. Effectively, not much difference in terms of the road surface between that and tarmac, so long as it's dry. A little bit overcast on Aberystwyth, which will be a relief to many, I would imagine, after the bright, hot sunshine of the last few days. And these slightly worrying, record-breaking temperatures in June that we have all been both enjoying and enduring at times.
Jess Roberts trying to make this injection of pace here. She's in that black jersey, Karis Lloyd in the white jersey of Movistar, immediately reacting to that move of Roberts.
Stealth ride out the privateer, the private member Jess Roberts, and that has split the group a little bit. So she's got 3 riders on her wheel, then little gaps further back, and this is the first real signs that perhaps the elastic might break and we might get a decent-sized group go away. And if that is to be the case, that is where the strength and depth of Hansling-Alba will really come to play a major part in the tactics of the way this race unfolds. But for now, they are content to join in this attack from Jess Roberts and try and get a move going.
This is the defending champion, Kate Richardson, who is up towards the front. She's pushing things on, takes a little look around. Sophie Lewis not able to follow the wheels to the trio. A couple of gaps starting to open up, but further back, it's so stretched out and strung out, and there's a lot of riders who are really paying for the tempo. It's really hard to realise when you're watching on television. If you're there roadside and you're watching at the barriers, then you'll know and you'll get a sense of how fast these riders are going, but it's so deceptive.
Well, it's Peggy Knox who is the rider who's trying to shut that move down of the Airtox Carl Russ Junior women. No one's helping her at the moment, and these 3 riders, Lloyd, Roberts and Richardson, have just got a gap of a second and a bit that Knox is taking the responsibility of closing.
Quite clever there from Peggy Knox in that white jersey with the yellow helmet, the gold bike. Just freewheeling and trying to take and find an opportunity to get some respite, so not closing and immediately closing the gap and using all of her resources, using the course and the flow of the course just to freewheel, take a little bit of a breather. She's managed to close the gap with minimal effort, really. That's really impressive, and let's not forget, she's only 17 years of age.
Carefully measuring out her efforts.
Very, very carefully.
Roberts, though, looks around and goes again. Another big move from Roberts. Takes 5 riders with her. That's a 6-rider group. Hansling-Alba trying to get another rider across, and if that's the case, they'll have 3 off the front. But Roberts is the first big-name rider who's really made a difference so far in this race.
Well, she was the rider who instigated the move and the split, and now he's started to come back. The question is now, who wants to keep things rolling? Because it's only a matter of time before maybe the elastic will snap. There's a lot of tired legs already out there. There's a lot of riders who have found themselves on the wrong side of a split. You start to overthink, maybe panic. You're having to use a lot of energy, a lot of power to try and close the deficit, and you only have to look at a number of riders a little bit further back where the head starts to drop and the shoulders start to rock and roll.
Robin Clay darting off the front and getting a little bit of a gap, but almost inevitably, straight away, there's a reaction from Hansling-Alba. These riders effectively crossing the line now. They're not going to see the front of the race again. They are out. Because Jo Tindley's one of them. Tindley is not having the best of days. I don't know whether she just found herself in the wrong place or whether the legs aren't there for her tonight, but that's a difficult position for Tindley to come back from.
Very, very, very difficult. The way that Jo Tindley would be able to come back is if this group completely sits up and they all start to look at each other, and that gives an opportunity for the rider from Smurfit Westrock cycling team to come back into the frame. Another rider I spotted there, which I'm quite surprised about, is Eilidh Shaw, the Scottish rider for UAE team Made EQ development squad, who has also been caught out on the wrong side of the split. But she's managing to try and jump across. If you can see in the background there in that white jersey, Shaw has noticed that it's now or never.
Yeah, that gap's a big gap though, isn't it? So that hangs by a thread for Eilidh Shaw. Keep our eye on that off the back of this front group. What do we call it? The front peloton? Don't know. Some 20 riders, maybe 25. Then there's a gap, and look at that rider there. She's actually got a gap herself now. And unlike Peggy Knox, she can't afford to play games or do anything measured here. This is a full-blooded chase to get back on now, because if she doesn't get on this lap, then it's going to be curtains.
If you leave it any longer, the gap is only growing. So in this case, it needs to be shut sooner rather than later. You can also see Jo Tinley, along with one of her teammates in those red jerseys of Smurfit Westrock, they're also attempting to try and come, and now it's a little bit calmer at the front.
Yeah, just eases up, doesn't it? This is an opportunity for sure, and there she is, very nearly across. And just as you described, Hannah, it was a question of how this group would behave at the front. So it looks like Shaw might get back on, a little bit more questionable as to whether or not Jo Tinley sees the front of the race again.
She does. She's just about lashed herself onto the back of the group, Tinley.
And as a result then of these riders getting back, this group swells in size. And on a few occasions now, as we approach the start-finish line again, this is the moment that we've seen riders attack. There's Eilidh Shaw on the right-hand side of your picture, the left-hand side of the road. And Jo Tinley's just crossed the line as well. So good spot there, Hannah. And that group as well will be getting back on. Megan Barker puts in an appearance in that pale kit. And off they come from the seafront again, and just a little bit uphill as they head into the centre of Aberystwyth. But I mean, you can't call it a climb. It's not. It's just a gradual incline before you know it's over. But Megan Barker's just using that slight gradient there to move to the front and exert a bit of pressure on the front. The ebb and flow of a city centre criterion race. Eilidh Shaw safely in the top 10, coming around that corner, although a little bit of a gap just to close once again for the rider from UAE. Barker's still on the front though. And again, little gap just needs to be shut down. Sophie Lewis, I think, from the Das Hutchinson team. Handling elbow launch again. Is that Richardson? They do look remarkably similar, don't they? These
very
10
similar,
riders.
yeah, they do. But this is what they've got to try and do. They know now at this point in the race that the fatigue, the intensity of the race has been on, and so they really need to try and use those numbers to their advantage now, and this is the perfect opportunity to do so by attacking, forcing other riders to do the chasing. They've constantly got someone there ready to cover the move if it all comes back together. So this is the perfect scenario to try and split things and make this a reduced group, even if it doesn't come down to a couple of riders, even if the group is then 12 riders as opposed to 40. They're whittling the bunch down, and they're playing to their strengths. The question is, at what cost? Because there's a couple of riders who, while one rider's going off the front really pushing the pace, along with another who's sitting in 4th, they've got 4 or 5 riders sitting in 25th position.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to finish with all 10 at the front of the race, are they? But it's a question of how and when do they deploy them, you know, at what point do they eliminate some of their teammates.
Absolutely.
And Jess Roberts back up towards the front, and Peggy Knox just taking an opportunity, quite tellingly, I think, just to bite into a gel, tear the wrapper off and get some energy inside her, because the racing has been full on for the last 5-10 minutes. Jess Roberts likewise on the front now, taking an opportunity for a drink. So properly calms down as they head down again and onto Victoria Terrace. But the lull will only be temporary, because maybe as they approach the start-finish line again, we're going to see the next series of attacks. can see at least 4, maybe 5 Hansling Alba jerseys in that, towards the front of that lead group. So to say that they have worked through their resources would be slightly overstating it. They've still got a huge numerical superiority over everybody else. Hats off, incidentally, to a rider I've noticed at the moment, drifting along in that front group, and she's a club rider from the Macclesfield Wheelers. That's Monica Greenwood, in the orange kit.
Yeah, she's another rider who's been around for a very, very long time. Former Great Britain national team coach for
There she is.
the women's programme. Formerly raced for High Tech Products as well, the Scandinavian-based team.
Sophie Lewis, interestingly, was the very last rider to go around that corner and onto Victoria Terrace from the Daz Hutchinson team, so not ideal for Sophie Lewis to be that far back. But no attacks by the looks of it yet this time around, although right on cue, Robin Clay goes again. She looks full of life, doesn't she, Robin Clay? She looks like she's in sparkling form. She must be feeling good out there, because there's a certain sort of spark to the way she's racing.
There is, and you can see the way that she's been biding her time. She made a bit of a move earlier on, test the waters almost, up towards the front, never too far away. She's sat back for the last 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, still being in a good position. There was a moment a couple of laps ago where I did think she's drifting a little bit too far back in the group for my liking, if she's wanting to have a serious go at trying to win this title. But she's just moved herself up quite anonymously, really, and then immediately Beth Morrow is the rider who has closed the gap to her in second wheel for Hansling Alba Development, and I wonder if Morrow and Barker will start to and continue this momentum here at the front of the group.
Just have a look at the gap. We normally can see a little bit further down the road here, if there is a gap at all. Well, not really. That group hasn't yet been split at all, but the pressure's still being cranked up on the front.
The rider sitting in fourth wheel with the red and white helmet on, the jersey of Cams Majeko, that's Melanie Rowe, another rider who's only 17 years of age, teammate of Zoe Roach. That team, almost the feeder team to, although it doesn't go to a World Tour team, it's linked to the Ineos Grenadiers, as is their men's Cams Majeko squad too for juniors.
Can't believe it's National Champions Weekend all over again. It is such a special place in the calendar, isn't it? First, you have the time trial, then the criterium race on Friday evening, then a day off to recover, and then it's, of course, the big one, the elite road races, as well as the support races for both the women and the men on Sunday, which we will also have live and flag-to-line, line-to-flag coverage for you, as Roberts puts in another big dig.
Roach, the first rider to react to Roberts.
Wow.
Can't quite get on terms, though. Look at that for an acceleration from Jess Roberts. She'll fly into this left-hand corner as it narrows, quickly banks the bike back over.
Well, that was impressive from Jess Roberts. That was just raw power. There was nothing to work with on the road there, was there? No gradient, nothing, just a wider section of road. She just powered away from the field, but that gap's been shut down.
She's so fluid, and she makes it look effortless, so while she's putting out big power, big watts, she makes it look so simple, and the gap that she's able to open up quite quickly, and the acceleration and the speed that she can get up to, it is deceptive. And so the way she pedals now, whether she keeps the pace high for the next lap or so, or 3/4 of a lap, what damage is that going to do? Hansling Alba Development, they're taking a good look over their shoulders, looking what's going on behind, what's the situation, what's the scenario. It's still all in one long line, barring one little split towards the back end of around 6 riders. But I think for Hansling Alba Development, now that they've got Kate Richardson up towards the front, Beth Morrow, Maddie Leach is up towards the front too, keep the pace on and really work into your favour, because Kate Richardson can win from both scenarios, whether it's from a breakaway that goes away, but she can also win from a bunch sprint. So either scenario here is working in their favour. I think for any of their rivals, that's where they need to be thinking, we need to try and get rid of Kate Richardson somehow. We know she's in really good form. We saw the way that she raced at the London Nocturne, taking that second place behind Lavenu. So they need to try and get rid of a rider like Richardson because she's so fast.
Yeah, easier said than done when she's got the support
precisely.
of all these different teammates, though. Noticed Izzy Sharp was a little bit far back, but she'll be working her way back up to the front as it just calms down a little bit on the front of the bike race, where Robin Cook looks just briefly to her right to see where the next move. There, Izzy Sharp has got herself on the right-hand side of the road, back to the very front of the race.
Sophie Lewis, by the looks of things, caught on the wrong side of a split.
Well, we saw her at the back of that group, didn't we? A dangerous place to be when it's kind of seesawing in terms of the tempo. It just died down every now and again, just a little bit, but not for long before another attack is launched. So far, so good though for Hansling Albert. They have controlled the tactics of this race. And it is one of the intrigues, isn't it, of the national championships, whether it's the road race or the circuit races, that you do get this huge disparity in terms of team representation, don't you? You get lots of riders who are just simply on their own and have to form informal allegiances, perhaps with friends or riders in a similar position, and then you get these great monolithic teams who just have huge. I mean, the classic example of that is always the French national championship road race, isn't it, for the men, where Groupama FDJ turn up with 25 riders and Arnaud Demar at the end of it all.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But it's always a huge weekend, of course it is. Everybody wants to try and win this national title. Everybody wants to be Criterium national champion, and so whilst a team does have 10 riders, you've also got Loughborough Lightning, who've got 6 riders, as well as Smurfit Westrock Cycling Team. They've got a handful of riders too. Velotic Development Team, they've got 4 riders. There's a number of club teams and of the elite teams who have the strength and depth in numbers, and there's an awful lot of riders like Jess Roberts, for example, like Peggy Knox, Robin Clay,
Eilidh Shaw,
yep. April Tacey, we mentioned already Monica Greenwood, who are on their own. Sometimes that can almost be a benefit as well. You just have to ride your own race. You know the riders that you need to follow. You always know that you need to be up towards the front. And look at what Jess Roberts is doing now again. Same
spot on the road as well, isn't it? That same spot on the road. She's just able to simply ride away from the group.
It's so fluid.
Each time she does this, forcing Hansling Albert to chase, it's just going to whittle away at their resources. She is looking very strong this evening.
Anna Flynn this time on the front for Hansling Albert, the development road team, closing the deficit with Izzy Sharp sitting on a wheel with Robin Clay in 4th.
Megan Barker and on the wheel of Robin Clay. Eilidh Shaw is still there, but those 3 riders are sandwiched in between the 3, including Izzy Sharp now, who's placed in 3rd position, with Kate Richardson up there as well as Maddie Leach, I think. Jess Roberts looking round. Frustrating for Roberts that she hasn't yet managed to achieve her goal of dragging clear a group of the best and isolating Richardson, or even getting rid of Richardson. That would be the prime objective. Of course, Jess Roberts was in that podium shake-up, the 3 riders who determined the outcome of this title last year. Finished in 3rd place. Wants to go 1 or ideally 2 steps better this evening. Just calms down again. Aberystwyth, of course, has been supporting the British racing scene, not just for the last couple of years, hosting the national championships, but down the years. Many's the evening when the Tour Series was still a thing that I remember making my way to Aberystwyth, and it must have been 6 or 7 years at least in a row that we raced there.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was always so well attended as well. I think they had such a great affinity to Aberystwyth with the various different courses as well, because it was different to this course here. So they've got a brilliant town to be able to host a circuit race. This is April Tacey, the instigator of that move there in that blue jersey from High Tech Products, being joined by one of the riders from O'Shea Red Chili Bikes.
And this is the first proper attack. We've got a move that has actually gone off the front and has got, I think you could call that a substantial lead now. So let's call it a breakaway. 2 riders up the road. Joe Tindley is much better placed now and up towards the front alongside all the other favourites. And the big teams, the big favourites, have let these 2 go. Question is, can they afford to do that? Will there be a reaction? Look round to check. They've got a few seconds to play with, and on this circuit you can dive out of sight very quickly. It looks like Tindley herself is riding on the front. But that's the best part of a 4-5 second gap, which is far bigger than anything we've seen so far. And they are the more technical corners here, almost out of sight. Although it's a big effort now from Tindley to bring the bunch back.
I'm quite surprised to see Tindley making that kind of move, but then it's a case of you let 2 riders like this go up the road who are clearly collaborating and very cohesive together. But whether you look to another team who've got the strength in numbers and say, well, it's your responsibility here.
Yep. It's also interesting to see her in that role, isn't it? Which would suggest that maybe she's feeling the legs aren't perhaps that good. She's got 3 teammates. Maybe she's doing what she can in the race now to shut this move down. But it's that gap's growing. As they drop down along Queen's Road now and back towards Victoria Terrace.
Matilda McKibben, each and every time she comes out of a corner, she's making that big, heavy acceleration, putting April Tacey under a little bit of pressure, actually, but they managed to get themselves back together. This is a really strong, dynamic duo here.
Yeah, Tacey doesn't look, she was, as you said, the instigator of the move, but she doesn't look totally comfortable, does she, when compared with Matilda McKibben. And it is now Hansling Albert, who do really have the responsibility of controlling this race, who are riding on the front.
This is also to the benefit of Karis Lloyd, who sits in second wheel in that white jersey of Movistar. She can just capitalise. She knows that they're going to do the work. Sit there, keep yourself well positioned, follow the wheels, try and save as much energy as possible in this scenario. If this comes back together, it would be a perfect opportunity for a rider, a counter-attack, to try and make a move straight off the back of this. Don't hesitate.
Watch out for Jess Roberts if that's the case, and there's Karis Lloyd in the white kit of Movistar. Peggy Knox also pretty close to the front, and that gap was shut down very efficiently by Hansling Albert. And very quickly, less than half a lap it took them really from getting on the front to shutting it down.
McKibben's not
done
yet. She's not done yet.
But she is now, I think. Now then, has anyone got the legs to counter? Because it'll just calm down. It's Hansling Albert themselves who are going to launch, is it? The sun comes out now.
Robert's going to go again. it's a stealth-like move every time she makes an attack. It's not a big out-of-the-saddle attack, it's very much a seated acceleration. Peggy Knox in that white jersey on the gold Ridley immediately senses the danger of Roberts.
It's the attack of a track rider, isn't it, from Jess Roberts. Teases out a response from the very talented teenager Peggy Knox, and in turn Karis Lloyd also following that move. And Jess Roberts just picks the same point on this circuit. That's the third time she's made the same move at the same point in the circuit. She must be inspired by the, I don't know, the smell of the sea salt in the air. And it is, as soon as she hits the coast, that's when she goes. Sophie Lewis once again at the back there from Daz Hutchinson. Or off the back, I should say. Still a big group, isn't it?
It is, it is. I was just thinking that. I think this is going to be a race where it just comes down to riders going out the back because they simply can't follow the wheels, as opposed to a successful move going off the front and staying away. Still plenty of opportunity for riders to take some rest and recovery. At the back here, number 55, that multicoloured jersey, that's Sophie Holmes of the Hera project.
A little bit of a lull, quietens down at the front. You can see those riders there off the back scrambling to take advantage of this moment where a little bit of peace has broken out at the front of the race and get back on. Monica Greenwood still there. Right at the back, the last rider who just made the junction there was Sophie Holmes of the Hera project. Cancelling out, but then go again. Josie Knight, I think it is, who's chasing. It's a beautiful summer evening now. Beginning to settle down as we approach 7 o'clock in the evening. Remember, pretty much straight after we've seen the podium presentation of this race for the eventual winner, and pick a winner, by the way. At the moment, it's impossible to guess. They've been racing for 41 minutes or thereabouts, so we are approaching the business end now. And as a result, sorry, just to complete that thought, we'll have the men's race, is what I meant to say. But no, it does feel, doesn't it, as if, Hannah, at this point in the race, the attacks are that much more dangerous.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, I think this is going to come down to a race, a finish where it's riders just going out of the back of the group. They're just simply not able to meet the demands of such an intense circuit race, as opposed to riders successfully managing to open up a gap because the pace is high, the nature of the course. Of course, we've already spoke about different weather conditions this year. It was wet last year, so that adds in another factor where the three riders were able to clip off the front. They had that advantage, they had that gap, and ultimately no one behind was able to close the deficit to Richardson, Sharp or Roberts. It's also very, very hot and humid. Nice to see riders taking the gels, taking a sip of the drink. Still a couple of riders there from Smurfit Westrock. Lucy Glover, Amelia Seaback. And there's a number of riders who will be happy that it comes down to a sprint.
I tell you what.
We've spoken about Richardson a lot, but there's other riders who are very, very quick when it comes down to a bunch sprint.
How about Karis Lloyd?
Yeah.
Just looking at her result in the Bruges, the Tour of Bruges, a one-day race where a big group came to the line. She won it from Movistar, the 19-year-old, and she beat a former world champion, Elisa Balsamo, into second place. And Lorene Wiebes, who is by far the fastest rider in the women's peloton, finished in 9th in that occasion. So that is a a really, really notable result.
Massive result, huge result to take your first World Tour victory in such esteemed company. Nienke Veenhoven, who's been a revelation for Visma Lease bike up there too. So a huge result and performance from Caris Lloyd. She's recently just been announced that she'll be off to the Commonwealth Games representing Wales in Glasgow. So a huge moment for Lloyd. You can see how aware she is. She's constantly looking over a left-hand shoulder, constantly waiting for the next move. If someone wants to make an attack, she can quickly latch herself onto the wheel.
She does have the disadvantage of being all on her own in terms of she can't rely on the services of anyone to lead her out. So if this group, or a group this size, comes to the line, she would be one of the big favourites, but she's going to have to really allow her instincts to thrive, isn't she, and just pick the right wheel and know the nature and the characteristics of all the riders who she's going to be up against.
As soon as Josie Knight pulls and swings off to the right-hand side into that left-hand turn, Robin Clay wanting to make that acceleration. Lloyd
just needs to follow. She just follows, doesn't she, Lloyd? And that was Kate Richardson as well in third place.
Megan Barker's been quiet so far. She's also another rider who is quick if it comes down to a finish, but she's been quiet. She hasn't really put her nose into the wind.
Yeah, she started quite brightly, didn't she? She was among the first riders to just those sort of like half attacks in the opening few laps. Megan Barker was very much involved at that point, but increasingly, I've reached the same conclusion as you, Hannah, and she looks like the head bows there a little bit. She looks like she might be suffering a bit this evening. But she's still there, and she's on the wheel of Lloyd at the moment. But this is a good move and a big move, and she's got a bit of a gap, albeit with Kate Richardson on her wheel. So she's worked hard. This is probably the third or fourth moment where she's attacked. A really sprightly, aggressive, alert, attacking performance so far from Clay. And there is Lloyd at a bit of a disadvantage with the gap to close. Is she going to get support from Megan Barker? Yes, she is at this point. And Clay's just ridden everyone off her wheel now. Big move, and she's going to go solo. Full commitment now from the rider from Picnic Postanel.
This is a huge move from Robin Clay. The fact that she's just ridden Richardson straight off the wheel is phenomenal. I cannot believe. Well, look at this.
Look at everyone scrambling now. Barker, Roberts as well, and Lloyd trying to get themselves organised. Richardson has just gone straight through that, is in danger of just dropping straight through that group. The wheels properly came off there from Kate Richardson, didn't they? Wow. Look how she took that corner as well. But it is Jess Roberts using her favourite part of the course there, who's halved the advantage of Robin Clay. And it's still a big group behind. Clay has no choice at this moment, does she, than to carry on and fully commit to this move, Hannah?
She has to. She went in fully committed into this kind of move. She knows that she can try and take the advantage at this point in the race. Don't forget, once the riders get to 50 minutes of racing complete, which is in 3 minutes, then they'll be shown the lap board, and then it'll be 5 laps to go. And so Clay, she's wanting and she's desperately hoping that the elastic snaps and that nobody can chase her down, or even if a couple of riders come across to her, the gap and the advantage starts to open up.
A little bit further down the line, I'm looking for those Hansling Alba riders. There's a little group of 3, and perhaps Kate Richardson has got herself in and among her teammates. They've still got a number of riders there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 at least, and there's a 7th, I think, towards the back.
Izzy Sharp still there.
Oh, what a ride this is. Robin Clay, probably her 3rd attack of the evening, and she is making it furiously difficult for all these riders now in this reduced group. It is still a big group, but there's plenty of riders who will be playing games and not wanting to commit to the front. In fact, it is the job of Hansling Alba really to shut this one down.
Especially now that the race is nearing its conclusion. there will be a lot more riders who will really be leaning on the shoulder of Hansling Alba Development to close this deficit to Robin Clay, because they don't want to show their card, they don't want to use their energy, they really want to almost play a game of poker.
Yep.
and pull the bluff, basically. I mean, look at that. There's a standoff here where they've come off the front now. A big move goes on the far right-hand side.
She gets a gap, and Lloyd starts to ride on the front.
It looks as though it's Madeline Cooper who's just trying to come across to Clay.
She takes that corner brilliantly. It's the same last time around and pushes on again. Can Cooper get across? If that is Cooper, can she get across to Clay? Interestingly, she's got a teammate riding on the front, or was riding on the front, Sharp. But she slots back and sits on the wheel of the Welsh rider.
This is a scenario now where Hansling Alba Development Team, they can let other riders do the job, to do the chasing. They're in a comfortable position now where they've got a rider up the road, up the front of the race, and they can leave it to Roberts, to Lloyd, to the riders from O'Shea Red Chili Bikes to do the chasing now. Maddie Leach is still in that group for Hansling Alba Development Team.
It's not going to work. Robin Clay just looked round to see if the rider who's come across to join her will contribute, share the work, and there's a firm shake of the head at the moment.
8 seconds is the gap. Wow.
There's going to be 5 laps left when they cross the finish line next time around, because our 50-minute race time is up now, which means there are 5 laps still to go, Hannah. Is that a viable gap to actually take to the line as we get an opportunity to actually identify who that is? And it is, as you suggested, Maddie Cooper.
If this continues in the upward trajectory as it's been going, and they've got this 8-second gap, which now looks far more, we're going to put another timer on this, between Clay and Cooper, then it's more than doable to stay away until the finish. Now Cooper decides, okay, the gap's established, now I can work with you.
Yeah. Smart thinking,
yeah.
The right thing to do, and exactly, I think, what young Robin Clay would have hoped for from the rider who's ridden. And it was a powerful counter-attack, wasn't it, to get across? She did that very, very efficiently.
Efficiently, yeah, I was going to say, definitely an efficient attack to bridge across to Robin Clay. And to be honest, after that kind of attack, I'm not surprised that she didn't come through immediately when Clay was asking her with a little shake of the head. She just needs half a lap to sit on the wheel just to recover from that kind of effort.
Well, Madeline Cooper, 22 years of age. She also raced the City of London Nocturne just outside the top 10. She was in 11th place and then went to the Fort Vale Grand Prix. And again, just outside the podium. So beaten by Emma Jeffers, the Irish rider, and Megan Barker and Sophie Lewis into 4th place. So she's obviously got some finishing speed about her. Is this the final selection? Robin Clay, they're making life difficult for Cooper. It's just those small accelerations, isn't it, on that very, very slight uphill, that when you're right on the limit, can potentially end your race. I mean, we saw that with Kate Richardson when she was just popped off the back by this tremendous ride from Clay. Well, we're just waiting, as mad as it sounds, for final confirmation of who that rider is from the Hansling Alba Development Team. It could actually be Arabella Blackburn, the teenager, the 18-year-old. And there may have been a switch in the riders' numbers on the start list that we've been given. So we'll just hold fire in terms of identifying who that rider is. But we know who the Picnic Postanel rider is for sure, and she's really making a name for herself here, Hannah. 5 laps to go now. There'll be 4 laps to go next time around. This time, I should say. I got there. It's just a numbers game, cycling, isn't it?
Yeah, you're looking at roughly 5 minutes of effort to go between these riders. 5-6 minutes. Now is a good opportunity to see what a drag this narrow section of the course is. Not an easy one. Jess Roberts on the front in that black jersey, followed by Meg Barker. Also Madeline Rowe in the red jersey, the 17-year-old closing the deficit. And it's coming down, and it's coming down pretty quickly to Clay.
Yeah. Seems that way, doesn't it? It seems as if, is it Melanie Rowe, I think?
Yeah.
It's just darting across, yeah, it is. And it looks as if Megan Barker and Jess Roberts as well were sharing a bit of the work and have closed that gap a little bit. So this isn't necessarily a done deal yet that these two will get to the line. There is Keris Lloyd. If it does come back together again, she'll be a real danger in the sprint. She's dropped right towards the back of that group, though. These are 3 riders who I think have been dropped from the race. And you can just see how hard it is. These riders will just be hoping now that they'll not get lapped, Hannah, and that they will complete their race distance.
Yeah, they'll be hoping so, and it won't be long until some of these riders, well, they'll, I should say, hope that they don't get lapped. One of those riders being Amelia Seabank, the other Sian Bottley. So Madeline Rowe has managed to bridge across. The 17-year-old from Cairns-Majayco in that red jersey has come across, and she's looking good despite that. A lot of work to come across, especially at this late stage in the race. Peggy Knoxley on the front in the white jersey. There is Monica Greenwood still there in that orange jersey on the Bianchi.
It's not the first time that Peggy Knox has had to close a gap on her own, and she looks around and wants a bit of support and doesn't get it. And so Melanie Rowe with our mystery Hansling Alba rider and Robin Clay, those 3 riders. But Hansling Alba now have launched a 2-up attack, and that is interesting. Kate Richardson among them. So they're trying to place Kate Richardson in that 3-rider group, make it a 5-rider group, and have their fastest rider contest the result from that group. Smart tactics from Hansling Alba, and it does mean that their rider at the front should stop working now. Arabella Blackburn, we think it is. But Hansling Alba, that's an interesting tactic. Don't often see that in criterium racing. 2-up attack. Actually, it's Izzy Sharp who's being shepherded across by her teammate. It's all coming back together again. There we go, Meg Barker among the riders who are going to shut this down. And so a really promising ride that looked like it was about to go all the way to the line has, I think, or will very imminently be snuffed out. That's the front of the race. There's the counter-attack featuring Izzy Sharp. And as you can see, Hansling Alba now swarming all over the front. Anna, they've got 5 riders in the top 10, at least. Roberts and Barker, though, the 2 interlopers, both dangerous. No sign towards the front of Keris Lloyd, who needs to make up a few places. Maybe the legs have just blown up a little bit for Keris Lloyd. She's not visible towards the front at the moment.
Jenny Hall now makes a move, the Scottish rider from Loughborough Lightning in that purple jersey. This is the first time all race that we've seen Hall.
Yeah.
Perfectly timed. She's been anonymous, she's kept herself out of trouble, she's been following the wheel, she's been right there, and only now does she come to prominence. Still there in that black jersey, number 34, that's Isabel Darville.
I can't see Lloyd in this group, unless I've missed it. I can see an enormous number of Hansling Alba jerseys all towards the front, a proper lead-out train now developing, and that is going to give whoever is their designated sprinter, whoever's got the legs today, that is going to give them a huge advantage.
Lloyd is sitting
There
4
she
or
is.
5 riders from the back, so it's
Just
2
about.
laps to go, not all over yet, but she's got to try and make a move sooner rather than later, because look at the pace here. Now Hansling Alba development team are on the front. They're going to keep this pace high. They're going to lead out Izzy Sharp to try and deliver the victory. She sits in second wheel currently. They won't want to take the foot off the gas in this kind of scenario. Lloyd, however, she's making good inroads. Look at how many places she's made up already since going through the finish line.
Yep.
Within 50 metres.
There she is, just going, flashing past the camera, and she's halfway up that line, if not closer to the front. So really good riding from Caris Lloyd, manoeuvring herself into a position from which she can sprint.
Jess Roberts in that black jersey, despite all of the attacks that she's done, she's still up there in the top 5.
The other rider in the black kit towards the black with the white helmet is Isabel Darville as well. Watch out for Lloyd. There she is, safely in that group. It's Hansling Alba now. Izzy Sharp just drops back a little bit onto the wheel of Jess Roberts and Megan Barker. But after all that, Robin Clay is still riding right up towards the front, all that expended energy.
She never dropped back. Even when the move was nullified, she never dropped back through the bunch.
Says a lot about her, doesn't it?
It does say a lot, and as we mentioned before, she's come off the back of a great Giro d'Italia. She's got a Grand Tour in the legs. She went to the Copenhagen Sprint. She's had just less than 2 weeks to recover from her previous race. She, of course, raced in the time trial yesterday, but she's clearly on such good form.
Well, here in the sunshine of Aberystwyth, we are gearing up for a big finale, and what a different script it appears it's going to be from last year, where 3 riders contested it. Over the finish line this time, they're going to hear the bell, and then there's just 1.6 kilometres to determine the outcome of this prestigious national title. What a big... I don't think anyone would have predicted a group this size. Megan Barker on the left-hand side, Jess Roberts in the black kit. Robin Clay still there. Barker determined to take this corner in first position. And so too is Jess Roberts, right up alongside her.
Shoulder to shoulder, Caris Lloyd and Robin Clay as they went into that left-hand corner. Eilidh Shaw sitting on the wheel of Caris Lloyd. Peggy Knox sitting comfortably on the far left side too with that orange helmet of Uno X Mobility.
Monica Greenwood in that orange kit of the Macclesfield Wheelers, right up there towards the front as well.
Well, wouldn't it be incredible if a rider who is racing for a club can take this national title?
Well, she's perfectly placed if the legs will allow, but that really would be a huge upset because all the quality is there. Eilidh Shaw is there, a rider we haven't noticed for some time, but she's right in the mix as well now.
Zoe Roche starts to make a move on the far right-hand side, just gets nullified by the rider from Hansling Alba development team. Still Roche and Rose trying to come through. Don't forget, they're only 17 years of age. They managed to find a way out. Now Clay starts to make a move. She gets the acceleration.
It's all about positioning it into that corner, not getting dropped down that line, and no rider at the moment is doing it better than Caris Lloyd. She has moved herself from towards the back of that group onto the wheel of perhaps the rider to be shadowing at the moment, and it is the rider in black, Jess Roberts, who looks around, checks, sees the teenager from Movistar, the Welsh superstar in the making, on her wheel, and what a dangerous rider she is, as Megan Barker and Jess Roberts once again battle for position at the front.
Caris Lloyd making sure that she doesn't get boxed in there. She's sitting second wheel, still on the wheel of Jess Roberts. Barker starts to move forward, as does Knox. Sharp completely out of things at the back here.
It's a few hundred metres to go now. Caris Lloyd is in firm control at the moment of things, and opens up her sprint very early though. She's got Megan Barker on her wheel. Can Caris Karis Lloyd win this one and take it all the way to the line? She opened up a long way out. Meg Barker up alongside her is Barker. It's going to be Barker or Lloyd. It's Barker in the end who just edges out her compatriot. And Meg Barker claims her second circuit race title. What a performance that was. And Karis Lloyd hangs her head in disappointment. And perhaps she just opened that sprint up just a little too early. But take nothing away from Meg Barker, who we thought the wheels were coming off a little bit about 10 or 15 minutes ago, but she worked her way back into the race and she judged that sprint to perfection.
And once again, coming down to the lunge for the line. So close between herself and Lloyd. What a sprint.
Second
What a
title,
final.
yeah.
Wow.
Already you can see Lloyd just getting a bit ragged on the bike. Eilidh Shaw as well, I think might have picked up third alongside Robin Clay, but there's no doubt about it at the end. Megan Barker did enough to get over the line and take her second national title in the circuit race.
A seated sprint from Megan Barker. When you see the difference
She looks surprised,
Yeah.
doesn't she? As if she really wasn't expecting that result tonight.
That was so hard.
Well, there you go. You can hear it between the riders. That was so hard.
And maybe Karis Lloyd paid the price of being on her own there a little bit. You know, if she'd had a lead-out rider, some teammate, any other wheel, she ran out of...
It's hard for everyone, so I just committed to keeping following everything. I just wanted to stay at the front.
Well, okay.
First 20 minutes, not right at the back. But I got up to the front in the end.
It's one of those where Megan Barker is also on her own.
Yep.
And she
Very
also
true.
doesn't have any teammates to close gaps or to do a lead out. It was very much, and we spoke about this earlier on, Ned, about riders. Sometimes it can actually be of benefit that you are alone and you don't have teammates and you just ride your own race. If we get it, and I've got it right, if it was Barker from Lloyd, from Shaw, all three of those riders, sole representatives in the race.
Hansling Alba will not be leaving Aberystwyth with particularly fond memories of this race, because look at that, they got two riders in the top 10, but no more than that. It's Barker from Lloyd, from Shaw, Robin Clay. What a fantastic ride that was to hold on. She'll be disappointed she's just outside the podium places, but she really animated things. Peggy Knox in 5th, then the pair from Hansling Alba, Nicola Key from 360 Cycling, Evie Smith of O'Shea Red Chili, and Jess Roberts, after all of that, the private member, in the top 10, but no better than that on the day.
The top 5 sole representatives from in the race.
Curious, isn't it?
Yeah, very interesting. And it came, and the victory came in the same manner as a year ago between Izzy Sharp and Kate Richardson. It was Karis Lloyd who had the shorter line. She was able to hug the right-hand side, the same as Sharp did last year. But it's that last little opening as the road starts to open up. You've got the slipstream, you've got the protection, and Barker able to come through and lunge for the line and take the victory.
You could kind of tell around about 40 or 50 metres out that Lloyd was just beginning to lose momentum and that Barker was perhaps the rider, as she proved to be, who just timed that lunge for the line perfectly. So much more experience, though, than Lloyd ultimately, and that's probably been the difference on the day. And a Welsh winner in Wales, in fact, a Welsh 1-2. Well, stay with us or tune back in, because not too long to wait now before the men do exactly the same race distance with the same regulations, 50 minutes and 5 laps as well, and a stacked field of talent. And a strong possibility that the Rafa Cycling Club might be onto something good here in Aberystwyth, because they will go into the men's race with one of the big favourites for success as well, in Matt Bostock and indeed Ollie Wood, both former champions in the crit category. What do you think, Hannah? Do you think the men's race will rip apart in a manner that we didn't see the women's race so much today? It just proved impossible, didn't it, to actually get away today?
Completely impossible. Completely impossible. Interesting. Interesting. I think it's going to be a similar scenario where riders are just going out the back because of the pace, and there's simply the nature of the course. If you're at the back for an extended period of time, you're just getting whipped around, and you're left chasing. You're using a lot of energy, accelerating to try and come back. So I think it will come down to a reduced group. I'm not sure. I mean, it depends. It depends how Rafa Cycling Club want to race it. Also with Alex Briggs from Tekkers, but they're certainly the big favourites. And can Mason do the double?
Well, all that's still to come. Let's just look back on some of the highlights before we see the winning riders on the podium. Well, there's Megan Barker doing what she had to do when she had to do it. And we just caught that little snippet of a rolling interview, didn't there, where she said, you know, I just followed the wheels towards the end. And in the last 100 metres, it was the wheel to follow. She came out of the slipstream of Caris Lloyd, and I think it is the word experience, isn't it, that just got her over the, and talent, that just got her over the line.
When you see the cadence between and the difference between Lloyd and Barker, very, very different. Barker, seated acceleration, seated sprint, far bigger gear. Caris Lloyd on top of the gear, just nothing much left in the tank after opening up so early. Very high cadence. And it's a deceptive sprint. You could see in that replay, Jess Roberts was right up towards the front challenging too. But in the end, in the final 50 metres, she had nothing left. She just was jettisoned through the bunch and managed to still finish in 10th. But nevertheless, a real long, drawn-out sprint. And I think it's that kind of finish where it can lure you into opening up too early because you feel like you're almost at the finish line. You want to make sure that once you reach that apex where you can see the pedestrian crossing point, that you're in a good position, but you've still got time to make it up, as Barker did.
Well, some genuinely outstanding performances there from some very, very young riders. When you consider the riders we were talking about barely out of their teens. Some of them, Megan Barker's a bit more senior, to be sure, but plenty of 18, 19-year-olds animating things in this race today. The women's scene is in good health in the UK. It really is.
Looking over the beautiful pier, very old, and also the old course of when the Tour Series used to be a regular feature.
Yep.
That was on that backside round the top part of Aberystwyth.
I'll be honest, Hannah, I went there for many, many years working for television. I don't remember many days where it was as nice as this.
I agree.
The wind blew in Aberystwyth, didn't it, almost every time we went there. That's amazing weather. A memorable race for these riders.
I think the only time I went there when it was sunny, still windy, but it was sunny, was when it was the Welsh Circuit Championships.
Oh, yeah.
And
it was a sunny day, you're right.
Yeah, I think Joe Holt won ahead of
that's great memory
Will
there.
Roberts.
That's great memory. Well, the Barker family, what a couple of careers they've had, really, between them, Eleanor and Megan Barker. 28 years of age now, Meg, and has from almost all of her career. Really, she's been a track specialist with considerable success as well. But just chips away and picks up the odd results every now and again on the road that is notable. 3 years ago, she claimed her first national title on the road, and that was in the circuit race. Twice a winner at World Championship level on the track, though, in the team pursuit in 2023 and 2024. So she's not a prolific winner on the road, Megan Barker, and for that reason, I think she really will take a lot of delight in pulling on this jersey for the second time in her career. Well, you did see the riders being shepherded behind the podium, so it shouldn't be too long before we see the famous British cycling podium that, in a sense of egalitarianism, has no actual top step. I've always admired it. This vehicle has done a lot of service over many years.
Oh, it has. It's
and some legends have stood on it as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's done some miles.
Yeah.
It's been at some of the best races that the country's ever seen.
Yep.
Still going strong.
Absolutely. It's very fitting, isn't it, that a rider from Wales is going to claim this jersey in Wales, in Aberystwyth, supporting the British National Championships. The first of 2 races this evening, and then, of course, 24 hours' time, we'll have the 2 road races as well for the women and the men. Well, the wait continues. I don't think the National Championships are the only race in the world where there's a little bit of a delay before the podium starts. Pretty much a feature of every race.
Oh,
Your
thumbs up.
attention, please, for the medal ceremony of the 2026
Reckon we might be
Lloyds
underway, Ned.
Women's
like
Circuit
it, doesn't it?
Race Championships. The medals, jersey and gifts will be presented by Chris Landon, British
There we go.
Cycling Board member.
Without any great fanfare, and in no particular order,
third place, representing UAE Development Team,
Ailey Shaw.
Ailey Shaw.
21 years of age, from Glasgow, the rider from the UAE Development Team. Her second year with this team.
In second place, representing Movistar Team,
Fairly busy
Lloyds.
road programme so far this year. And in second place, a genuine star in the making, I think, a teenager. Signed for Movistar, and already with a World Tour victory to her name.
Lloyds Women's Circuit
Karis
Race
Lloyd.
National Champion.
But the winner, taking the gold medal and the jersey,
Megan Barker.
Megan Barker. There was something about her reaction which suggested that she hadn't really anticipated winning this title tonight, but she'll definitely take it and add that to her collection of titles, both at world and national level.
Yes, it is a genuine Welsh sheep.
She's got a Welsh sheep to take away as well.
And of course, for our national champion, a bottle of Night Timber sparkling wine with which to celebrate. Please congratulate your National Championship medalists!
See, they are drenched in sweat, these three riders, aren't they? That must have been, I mean, it's just over an hour's effort, and these temperatures, Hannah, must have been brutal as well. And that may have contributed to some of the, you know, slightly surprising underperformances from some of the names we were expecting to see up towards, because you never know how you can react.
It doesn't surprise me when you race in temperatures like this, where it's very, very humid. It's really difficult as well, and unless you've trained your body to be racing in these kind of conditions, very, very difficult. And you add in the intensity. She's done that before.
Including the other medalists. Well, that's all our riders in top 3 in the Lloyds.
Proper celebration there from Megan Barker.
For 2026.
Feels like that bottle is going to be taken away backstage and put to good use as well. Fair play.
It's rehydration, Ned.
Absolutely. It's just very important in conditions like this.
23 minutes to go.
All right, the stream continues in around about 20 minutes' time. We'll be back with the men's elite criterium racing. If it's anything like the women's, make sure you don't miss it.
Excuse me, do you mind just moving that way a bit, just so my shot's clear, if you don't mind? Thank you very much, appreciate that. Yep.
How's that?
Thank you, yeah, perfect. Sorry about that.
Not bad here, fairness. Pardon?